Hi, it's Bradley from BetterCar, and today I'm here with an exciting car for me. I'm personally a massive Rover nut, and this is a Land Rover Defender from 1994. So this car is actually as old as I am. Now this has travelled 110,000 miles in its life, which is a lot less than you'd expect from one of these. It's the 2.5 110, so it's got 111 brake horsepower, which is not that much for a car this sort of size, but it makes for the driving experience being incredibly fun. Now, the roots of the Land Rover Defender actually start in 1948. So the original Land Rover Series 1 was released after the Second World War, when steel was in very short supply. So they decided to use aluminium on the outside of the cars, which actually meant that they didn't rot quite as badly, which is still the case on this car. You still have a little bit of bubbling here and there, but nowhere near as bad as cars from the 80s that use the same sort of structure and design as these. Now, the Defender itself was released in 1983. The name Defender, though, wasn't actually used until 1990. So this is as I said, a 110. It's the station wagon version, so you get the, or the SW, as enthusiasts call it. So you get the long bench rear seat in the back, plus a row of rear seats as well. So it's a little bit practical. The driving experience, which we'll come on to later, is the best thing about this car, and it's terrible for what it is, but it's such a good laugh that I think that I could put up with this car every single day, just for the fact that I love driving it. Let's move around to the back. Right then, moving around to the back of the Land Rover Defender. This is quite a good example of one, actually. So as I said, it's done 110,000 miles, but it's in fairly good condition. It's got good service history with it as well. There's a couple of scratches and bits like that you'd expect from a car that's been worked for most of its life. I'm not too sure exactly where this one came from, but it hasn't got too many rust patches on the bodywork itself. The underside of the car has been checked out, and it is completely clear of any sort of structural rust on there. You've got surface rust, but again, a car like this, you've got to sort of expect a little bit like that. It has got the Land Rover side steps on there as well, and you've got the lovely big off-road tyres on there as well. Now, moving into the back, you've got a very rudimentary handle on here, and the boot itself, the door's quite heavy because you've got a massive rear tyre on the back there as well. So the lights of this are comical by today's standards. So you've got the individual cluster of lights, so you've got your brake lights there and side lights, and your indicators down there, and they're just held in with screws. So it's very simple, very back to basics, but for Land Rover enthusiasts and people like myself, I absolutely love the simplicity of this thing. Now, getting into the back itself, I've actually got the original Land Rover handbook in the back here as well, which has got the from 1994, which is great to see this still in the car, and shows that the car's actually been really well looked after. Now, it's great in here. This is the perfect place to stick all of your friends if you're going to be going out on a shoot or something other country related. You can fit about 3 people if you're very, very close friends with them on each bench seat back here, but obviously the leg room's going to be quite tight in here. There's no sort of safety, anything like that. You've got sliding rear windows in the back here, and you have got the safari windows up on the top, which the new Defender has also carried that over to the new design, which is nice to see that carry on. Let's move into the back seat. Right, using that step to get up. Right, back in the back of the Land Rover Defender, you can see above my head you've got those safari windows, as I pointed out, in the back, and this one has actually got a front sunroof in it as well, so it's quite a light and airy car. The back here is really nothing noteworthy. It's a 1990s Land Rover Defender, so there's no luxuries in the back here. You get 3 seats, but you've got a couple of seat belts just tucked back there, but they're just lap belts. There's nothing really safety conscious about this car. Let's move into the front seat, and then we'll go out for a little drive. Right then, moving into the front of the Land Rover Defender, you can see from this angle how bare bones and basic this car is. You've got an ashtray just on top of the dash, which pops out a little bit there. It's not exactly the best build quality in here, but these never were. They're never really made for that. They are just rugged, dependable, start up in cold weather, great cars. The gauges in here, I'm pretty sure that I've had exactly the same gauges on an old Austin Maestro of mine. So the speedo goes up to 110, but that is incredibly optimistic. So realistically, the top speed of this car is probably about 75, and that takes a long time to get there. The clock on this one is actually out of an Austin Montego. And your heater controls are just down the side, so you've got your fan controls just down here, and then you have also got your demist function and bits like that on there. But as everybody that has ever been in a Land Rover Defender knows, the heater is pretty much useless. I want to be kind to it, but it's not the best in the world. You have got a 5-speed manual gearbox in this one. You've got rear wash wipe, which is actually very, very surprising, and it does actually work as well. You got you got your horn just on here, which sounds great. It sounds perfect for the type of car it is. You've got front washers on the stalk just here. I haven't got the ignition on, so I can't use that. You've got a warning down here. This is for the diff locks. So you have got a low range gearbox, a high range gearbox, which it's in at the moment, and you have also got diff locks on there as well, which is great for getting out of tight spaces. But this basically just says don't ever use it on pavement, and only at very, very low speeds. General feel of the seats in the front here, they are very comfortable actually. They're very spongy and soft, but they're not exactly very supportive. You've got a couple of little switches down here which open up the front vents, which I will show on a little overlay. Right then, let's get out on the roads. Wait for these guys to pass, and off we go. Noisiest car I've ever driven, and one of the slowest as well, but it's the experience that makes all the difference. You can see that is your airbag, so you just get a cushion on there instead of any sort of airbag there or safety. 4th gear going up a hill, barely creeping above 40 miles an hour. These are brilliant. Steering's wayward. There's no real feel to it at all, and it all of a sudden tightens up, but it's just part of the character of the car. Things rattling about all over the place. Right, so getting into a 60, foot hard down, it's 50, 55, and 60s. It's not a car that you want to be taking on the motorways. The clutch is actually incredibly heavy. It's not really what you'd expect from a 2.5 litre diesel of this sort of size. But it's just fun. That's the best thing about it. You've got the original Land Rover stereo, still just there. Doesn't really work, but it's there, that's the main thing. And here we are coming up to our turn-in, so give the brakes a good test. Indicators all work. Brakes are very spongy, but that is just the same as every other Defender. Nothing bad about this one. Again, just all about the experience of this. I'd love to take this out off-road, but obviously it's a car for sale. We can't really do that with these. There we go. So that was the test drive on the Land Rover Defender. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want any more information on this car, call us on 01245 403 367.